So for me, I think it's a mix of the freedom to do what I want, but I think it's also the fear that somebody will have control over me.
Little Alan is saying, hey, every now and then, can you just stop delaying gratification for a goddamn minute and let me enjoy myself? That's what little Alan is saying.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We're having a good time today. We hope
get your knuckles up.
Get your knuckles up. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was number 1208, Understanding Your Three Identities. Today, for episode number 1209, why is what's important to you important to you? What Alan was referencing is on video. Before every episode on YouTube, we put our knuckles up and we do knuckles. And then that's our key to start the episode. So
and before the episode, he said, knuckles up, son.
Knuckles up, son.
No, he didn't say that.
You and I had a conversation. I do not remember what episode this was, but we had a conversation about, we were talking about, I'll never give up UFC. I'm actually wearing a UFC sweatshirt right now. And you said you'd never give up movies.
Fact.
Remember that conversation? And we said we should really have a conversation about why those things are important to us and why we're not willing to give them up. So that was my thought behind this episode is, I don't know. I feel like there's certain things in my life that I said I would never give up that I ended up giving up. Like I just wasn't interested in whatever it was anymore. But there are things in my life that I do believe are important to me for deeper reasons than I truly understand. Here's a good analogy or a good example of this. So I told, and Taryn knows this, when we, and like just, this is a permission to dream for you if you're listening to this part of this episode. When we get our 5-year home from today, I have to have a movie theater. I don't care. I don't need anything. I need a nice office with nice Wi-Fi and a movie theater. I'd like some land so I could have some all-terrain vehicles. Other than that, I don't really care. I don't care. I'd like I apologize. I'd like a sauna as well as an ice bath and pretty much
$17.95 boss.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot more than that. But I want a movie theater. I need a movie theater. I just need it. Why? I was thinking about this the other day. When I was growing up, my mom used to work nights. So my mom would work 11 to 7. And my mom was like the most reliable employee. I don't think she missed a day ever in like 17 years. Like she is just a trooper. That's where I'm sick right now still. And it's like, well, let's see what happens. Let's just see what happens.
So interesting.
That's where I get it from. That's part of where I get it from.
Kevin was late to a team huddle the other day, and everyone on the team was freaking out because that never, abducted. ever happens. Yeah, we thought you were abducted.
I was on a coaching
If I was
call.
late, it'd be like, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. He'll be here in a minute. With Kev, it's like, does anyone know if Kevin, like, who has texted Kevin?
Amy D texted me. She's like, hey, Alan wanted to know if you're going to be on the call.
Yeah.
I was like, well, you're the sweetest checking on me. So when I was growing up, my mom used to work nights. So she would work 11 to 7, and she'd sleep all day. And her schedule was weird where she didn't have every weekend off. I think she had every other weekend off. So say I had somebody over, they came over at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. My mom is sleeping and we can't like play video games and celebrate super loud. I'm not listening to loud music. I'm not watching movies loudly. That's where I get it from. I get it from, I want the freedom to just close the door and just go to town and say, I'm going to watch The Dark Knight and I'm going to turn that all the way up and I'm going to have the lights and I'm going to have a popcorn machine. That's where it comes from for me. It comes from the freedom. That's really what it is for me. The freedom of whatever my choice is. And I've realized that about myself, Alan. That's really why I value a lot of the things I do value. Really, because it's almost like I just don't want anybody to be able to tell me what to do. Right? Like one of the reasons I appreciate, again, we're not balling, we're not bajillionaires, but I appreciate the quote unquote level of wealth we have currently is because it affords me a lot of opportunities not to worry about certain things. And I always tell the story. So I lived in New Hampshire and my landlord messaged me one day So this was before I left my job and went all in on what we're doing. He messaged me one day and said, "Hey, Kev, I'm thinking about selling the house. If you want to move out early, you can actually move out, but it's got to be like in the next 2 weeks." And I was like, interesting. So I talked to my buddy Matt, who had just bought a house in Worcester, and he was going to renovate it. And he's like, "Dude, move in with me. Like, move in with me. I'll charge you $500 a month, just enough so I can pay the mortgage, and we can live together. It'd be awesome." And I was like, "Dude, that sounds awesome." So I ended up saying to my landlord, "Hell yeah, I'm in. I'll have all my stuff out. We're good to go." So my buddies come, they help me move. I move into Worcester. I get a text from my old landlord, and he said, "Kev, you got to bring your trash out to the side of the road." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Your trash receptacle is still at the house. You got to wheel it out to the side of the road." And I was like, "Can't you just do it?" And he's like, "No, I can't do it." He's like, "You got to come do it." And I was like, I don't remember his name. Jimmy. I think his name was Jimmy. I said, "Jimmy, I live an hour and 10 minutes away. I'm not going to drive up there to bring the trash receptacle out." He's like, "Well, you got to do it." And I was like, "All right, cool. Watch me." So I called up 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and I was like, "Hey, is there any way," I said, "I don't care what this costs. Like, just make this problem go away from me, please. Is there any way you can just go to my house? You can just dump the stuff from the trash receptacle into the truck and just leave?" And they're like, "Yeah, absolutely. It'll be like $100. I was like, "Cool. When can you do it?" And they're like, "Here, awesome. Here's the money, off to the races." For me, it's the freedom that you do not get to dictate my life. When I have a certain amount of money, you can't hold things over my head. Like, "Well, if you don't do this, we're going to have to charge you $50. Charge me $50. I don't care. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it." So for me, I think it's a mix of the freedom to do what I want, but I think it's also the fear that somebody will have control over me. I think that's one of the reasons I work as hard as I do for what I do work for. That's one of the big reasons. That's one of the big motivators for me is we've talked about the next level. What is it? The five levels of next level motivation.
Sorry, I don't mean to
No,
laugh at
you're
you.
good.
The 5 M's.
The 5 M's. My brain, I am not feeling well, and I'm not firing on all triggers. Or all cylinders. My brain is just like, I'm foggy. And I had Dayquil. So like, I don't know what that does.
Don't you have like 8 more interviews?
Today's a heavy day for the kid. Yeah. Today's 9 to 6, just back to back to back to back.
All of us over at Next Level Nation are going to need you to get together.
I'm going to get it together. So the 5 M's of next level motivation, movement/freedom is my biggest one.
Yeah. Huge.
So
Huge.
now you go. So, hey, don't even make a mistake either. Don't make a single mistake.
I will. You know I will. What was the original title of this? Real quick.
He doesn't even know where he is. Why is what's important to you important to you?
Important to you. Yeah. All right. So I was on a call with my therapist actually recently.
You can't say that while I'm laughing. You're gonna make me look bad. Like I don't care about you.
It's all good, man.
Right,
hey, it's all good. It's all good. I was on a session with my therapist, and for those of you who don't understand or don't know of internal family systems, IFS, it's one of the modalities of therapy that I think is unbelievably powerful. And it's very simple. I've talked about it before on the podcast, but for our new listeners, I'll give you the high level rundown. If you've ever seen the Pixar movie Inside Out, it's kind of like that. We have these different parts of us that are driving the control panel at any given time. And so they're broken up into 4 parts. There's exiles, there's the self, there's firefighters and managers. So if you've ever heard us talk about the ego or protectors or trauma responses, XYZ. And another good way to understand this is we all have split personalities to some extent, okay? And so, there's a version of me that, gets really frustrated. There's another version of me that's super aspirational and a dream version. There's like a little Alan version of me that loves to fish and watch movies. So I was on the session with my therapist doing IFS, and she essentially had me close my eyes. We did this sort of meditative thing, go back to your old home, go back to these old memories, this, that, and the other thing. And we essentially talked about a version of me when I was 7 or 8 years old, and there was some painful experiences for sure. But she asked me a simple question during the session, which was, what does that version of Alan want from you? And it's so interesting because it tells you. You know, I don't pretend to understand all this stuff, but I do know that it works and it's fascinating. And you know what it said? It said, go watch Mortal Kombat. I want you to, every now and then, little Alan is saying this. Little Alan is saying, hey, every now and then, can you just stop delaying gratification for a goddamn minute and let me enjoy myself? That's what little Alan is saying. Go watch a movie from the 90s that's stupid. Another one that I love that's so stupid is Tremors. You ever seen Tremors?
Look, Tremors is a good movie.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a good movie.
That's what I've been saying. I get made fun of.
No, Tremors was like...
It's right.
Yeah,
legit.
It was a masterpiece in its time. Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, come on, man. That's what I'm saying. For some reason, like eating food, watching a silly movie like Mortal Kombat or Tremors from back when I was a kid, it's very, very, very cup filling. And little Alan was essentially saying, you never let me play video games anymore. You never let me play basketball anymore. You never go snowboarding anymore. You know, you never let me. You're always delaying gratification. And my achiever is a different part of me. And my achiever doesn't want to do any of that stuff. Wants to read before bed and always get better and this, that, and the other thing.
Next Level University and Kevin is exactly where you need to be if you're a podcaster. When I first started out just a few months ago, I had no clue on the direction I was going. I was getting hustled by another company that was giving me not even close to the value that Kevin and Next Level U was giving me. They literally changed the trajectory of my podcast, have helped me out tremendously. They understand the clients. I promise you, you will not go wrong with dealing with Kevin and Next Level U. I'll see you there.
And so what I'm trying to do, and again, if you've ever seen the Pixar movie Inside Out, it's basically about a young girl going through her adolescence, and there's a character inside of her head called Joy. There's sadness, there's joy, there's disgust, there's anger, there's frustration, whatever. And there's these characters, it's an animated movie from Pixar, and there's these characters that essentially the emotions, Joy is trying not to let the other emotions like get control of the behavior because they keep messing everything up, quote unquote. And so if you've never seen the movie, it's magnificent. It's honestly an awesome concept. And it's kind of built on IFS, internal family systems. And again, internal family systems, meaning you have an internal family of little Kevin, achiever Kevin, funny Kevin. We have all these different versions. And they're different facets of our personality. And different facets of our personality come out at different times with different people. So everyone knows Kevin as a different version. Some people know you as really funny. And then if they saw you on this podcast, they'd be like, oh, that's not authentic Kevin. No, this is actually authentic Kevin, maybe more than you realize, but he isn't broing out with you behind the scenes right now, right? And so getting to know people is really cool in this whole thing. But to come back to the original point, I played basketball all summer. Kevin and I host a Next Level Hope Foundation event twice a year. One is Father's Day, one is a holiday event. The holiday event was awesome. I think I had more fun than the kids, straight up. We played 4-on-4 basketball with a hoop that I'm taller than, and I had so much fun because little Alan never gets to play basketball. And so this past summer, I actually played a lot of basketball, and it was super, super cup filling. And so that's why I love movies. That's why I love basketball. That's why I love snowboarding, because that's what I grew up doing. I played basketball, I snowboarded all the time, I played video games, and I watched movies. And that was my favorite things to do. And that's why I love fishing. I fished a lot as a kid. So these parts of you that develop this relationship with these things, when we get older, sometimes we become these achievers or these businessmen or women or these professions, or I'm a therapist, I'm a coach, I'm a podcaster, I'm a speaker, I'm a consultant, and we don't let ourselves go back and play video games every now and then. And I think that one of the reasons why, and don't get me wrong, some people overdo this, and that's actually my fear, is for me, if I start playing video games, am I going to play every day? And then I tend to do things, I tend to dial everything up to 11. We joke about that. So I got to be very choosy about what I do. I started playing basketball this summer, and I think I must have been on that court at least every other day for the entire summer, genuinely. And then Emilia and I played soccer and all that stuff.
That was me with boxing. Like when we were losing the weight, I was doing kickboxing every day, basically. I loved it.
Right.
I loved it.
It's cup filling.
Yeah.
And it's cup filling for a reason beyond. And so when we talked about me not wanting to give up movies or Kevin not wanting to give up UFC, I think it stems from a childhood dream. I remember when I had a dream to be a pro gamer. I remember when I had a dream to be the best snowboarder I can be. I remember when I had these dreams, and I actually, and this will be the last thing I say, Kev, believe it or not, I drove to Los Angeles and I lived in Hollywood to work in show business. I love the film industry. I understand the film industry. Emilia and I were having a great conversation about Avatar 2 and how I don't think, so some of the movies in theaters actually, they let you stream them even when they're in theaters. Mm-hmm. And I think this is based on COVID. But Avatar 2, I was like, there's no way that James Cameron's going to let that happen. Why? Because he wants people to go and experience it in the theaters, IMAX with the 3D glasses, because they put a lot of time and effort and money into that. And she's like, well, how do you know that? I said, it makes sense. You know, he's a scientist, he's an engineer, you know, he's an artist too, but he knows to get the demand high from the people that go first, the early adopters, and to have them experience it in 3D to where they're going to go hype it up for everyone else so that when it does come out on DVD, Blu-ray, all that, he's just creating demand. Mm-hmm. And she's like, how do you know all this? I said, sweetheart, I not only lived there, I studied this industry my whole life. I love film. I adore film. I wanted to work in show business for a while. And so that's why I love movies. It's more than just movies. And I have a close friend who I grew up with who actually is a director, and he just directed his first feature film. And him and I used to talk movies all the time. I mean, everything is movies to that man. And we've had him on the podcast a couple times. His name's Ryan Bliss. But these passions that you have, they go deeper than what you think. And I think that it's important to allow yourself to indulge in those passions within reason and usually for a purpose. A passion without a purpose is just a hobby. A passion for a purpose which serves others for a profit. Like there's a big difference between I love to cook and I'm a world-class chef. One of them you actually build a profit and you serve other people food with. The other one is just kind of a hobby. And they're both okay, but just don't go all in on a hobby. Make sure that what you're going all in on is your career. But on the side, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to have a movie theater.
I feel like
absolutely. And I'm going to watch Tremors.
I feel like you've shifted a little bit. I wish we got to go because we have a call after that. But I feel like you've kind of, I don't know. I feel like part of you is unlocked with that. For me, I've realized that one of the reasons I love mixed martial arts is because I'm part of another community. That's important for me. Like seeing posts about social media. Shout out to Derek. Derek's on the Evolve team. Him and I are always like DMing about mixed martial arts. And I like being part of another community. Again, this is my home and this is what we've created, but nobody else likes mixed martial arts. You don't even know what the hell I'm talking about most of the time. Nobody else really does. So for me, it's like, oh, you like MMA? Let's jam. All right, we got to go for reals. For reals.
Unless we're talking about the movie Warrior, in which case.
But again, that's not real, and there's a lot to that. Next Level Nation, as you know, our goal is always to add as much value to your life as humanly possible. If you're anything like me, you are somebody who learns in person. So listening to this podcast is great. We're dropping knowledge bombs, hopefully. Hopefully you are finding value. If you want even more value, please join us for our first event of 2023, which is weird to say it's 2023. Next Level Live, April 1st. 2023 in Worcester, Mass. Tickets are only $97. We're only taking 50 people, and it's not going to be a speech. It is going to be an experience. That's how I'm going to phrase this. We are speakers, yes, but I think we're also presenters and facilitators, and it's going to be an experience more than anything else. So please join us if you are interested.
All right. So at NLU, our dream is to help you achieve your dreams. We do this through one-on-one coaching. We do this through coaching and training teams. We do this through helping you optimize your business. We have several different parts of the business that I want to start sharing with our global community. One of them is called trainings. So this is a part of the business that I essentially, the number one training that I've given thus far is how to become the most productive and effective version of yourself. It's 1 hour long. And it's essentially how I have gone from my car accident at 26 to not knowing who I am and where I want to go to what I believe to be infinitely more peak performing and productive on a day-to-day basis. So how have I become more productive and effective over the last 6 years? If you are interested in a training, this is what we do. You sign up, email me or DM me immediately. And what we'll do is we'll create a private Facebook event, and then we'll create a Zoom registration link, and you can invite your team or your community into this. It can be 5 people, it can be 10 people, it can be 15 people, it can be 100 people. But it's a training behind the scenes, completely private. We set a date. You book on my calendar. We create a private Facebook event. Amy L. on our team, Amy Lenius on our team, is in charge of trainings. If you are interested in that, please reach out to us. We'll get it going. I know it sounds overwhelming, but it's really not. I can't wait to meet your team, your community, whatever it is, and help them become more productive and effective, which will help you achieve your goals as well.
In the wise words of one of the people in Starsky and Hutch, do it. Next Level Nation, tomorrow for episode number 1210, where are you being a pretender? I'm a little nervous about that episode, but I'm also very excited to do it. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
And we'll see you at the next level.